Hello, my little jokers and fools, and welcome back to the opera. I have been on a real portrait kick lately, so I wanted to do another limited color palette portrait using some of the paints that I got in my last haul. Isn't it like so cool when you actually use the stuff that you buy? Like, damn, I should do that more. Because yeah, I really wanted to use two of the Sennelier paints that I got in that haul, because everybody says that they're really excellent at layering, and that's exactly how I like to paint, so I wanted to give them a try. I don't really mix on my palette, like, ever. Like, I pretty much only ever do my color mixing by, like, layering and glazing, or, like, the occasional, like, wet on wet technique. So, as somebody who really likes to layer, I've been really curious about trying Sennelier for a long time. And, like, as a side note, like, everybody says that Sennelier is, like, the brand to use if you like layering and stuff. Has the brand themselves, like, ever actually claimed that, or are we all just quoting the same Denise Soden video? Like, no shade to Denise, of course, like, I love her work. I feel like every time that she drops a new video, it's like a canon event in the watercolor community. But it does also kind of feel like, damn, we're all just kind of, like, echo chambering each other here. Like, we're all just kind of, like, repeating the same thing back and forth, and, like, I don't actually know. If it didn't start with her, I don't know where else it did, because I can't find anything on the company website. Like, I do think that they layered well in the painting, but I don't know that I would say that they layered, like, exceptionally well, like significantly better than other brands that I've used. Like, I definitely enjoyed them, don't get me wrong. Like, basically, as soon as I finished the painting, I immediately topped up the pan that had gotten pretty low, the Indian yellow, because I used a lot of it, and I want to use more of it, so... But yeah, I would really need to, like, play around with it more before I felt, like, super comfortable with the claim of, like, yes, this is, like, exceptionally better than other brands at layering and glazing. So yeah, for this painting, the colors that I chose were Helios Purple and Indian Yellow by Sennelier, and then also Quinacridone Purple by Daniel Smith. And if you could not tell, the color palette is inspired by the intersex flag. Another side note, why is it that every single queer flag uses a different shade of purple and also a different shade of yellow? Like, I do think about that a lot. And yeah, this portrait is just one that I pulled from Pinterest. As far as I know, I do not believe that this person is intersex, unfortunately. It's just a face that I liked, and I liked the lighting, so I wanted to paint it. And yeah, like, my goal for this painting was not to, like, try to capture the perfect likeness. I really just used it as, like, trying to, like, jot down the general shapes of the face and, like, using that as the point of departure, but not try to, like, perfectly recreate the photograph in any way. And if this is a famous person or something, like, please don't tell me. I would actually rather not know. I love not knowing who famous people are. I feel like it is the only power that I have over them. I am constantly having to remind myself that Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling are not the same person. I don't know who they are, and I think I'm okay to not ever know. All of that brain space is currently being occupied by Sonic the Hedgehog lore. Like, Shadow the Hedgehog has 2 dads, and it is only by complete happenstance that his purpose in life is to find the cure for AIDS. And I think that's beautiful. Anyway, the intersex flag. I feel like as far as queer flags go, like, this is a pretty okay color scheme. Like, I feel like it pulls off the yellow and purple better than some other flags, looking at you, the non-binary flag. I have heard some intersex people say that they don't necessarily want to be, like, inherently included under the queer umbrella, which, like, I personally kind of understand. It is kind of like its own thing. Because, like, being gay or, like, being trans is kind of just something that you realize about yourself as you grow older and, like, you get to know yourself better. Whereas being intersex is, like, something that you are born with. And it's just, like a condition of your being, like a physical state of being. And there are, like, so many different variations of it that I feel like it is one of the least understood identities, in my opinion. Because I feel like that is, like, one of the ones where, like, well-meaning allies will just, like, ask the most questions about it whenever they hear, like, the full extended acronym for the first time, like the full, like, LGBTQIA2P. And they're like, what does the 2 stand for? And also, what does the I stand for? Which, like, that's fair. That's a valid question. And, like, I am certainly not an authority to speak on, like, the full extent of, like, the two-spirit experience. But I do at least find that that answer is shorter. Not to say that being two-spirit is not, like, extremely diverse in its own right. I am just not the person who should be speaking about it. Like, that belongs to a culture that is not mine. And, like, I'm not intersex either, like, at least as far as I know. Although, technically, I've never been tested, so I don't actually know. And you probably haven't been tested either. But yeah, intersex is kind of just, like, its own thing altogether. Because it's basically, like, any variation in, like, your sex characteristics or, like, your hormones or your chromosomes. Basically anything that is not, like, XY assigned male or, like, XX assigned female. Which is a lot of room for variation. And that can include things like somebody born with XXY chromosomes, or somebody born with just an X chromosome with no pair, or somebody who was born with X and Y chromosomes, but an insensitivity to testosterone, so during development they never differentiated in, like, the typical male pattern, and they end up looking more like a cisgender woman, and they wouldn't know that they weren't until late puberty when they realized that they've never had a period. So yeah, those are just some of the more like well-known variations of intersex. So you can kind of see like why somebody would want to treat that differently and why it would require a different type of advocacy. And of course, there is like a degree of overlap in the two communities between like the general queer community and the intersex community, particularly in places like medical discrimination. And so even if you are somebody who wants to treat intersex as its own like separate community, I think that is something that we can all like stand united on. Like that is something that affects both of us in a very similar way. We are more alike than different in that way, and we are certainly not enemies in that regard, generally speaking. I do have beef with exactly one intersex person. So I don't have a lot of exes, but I do have a lot of almosts. Like people who I've almost dated, but maybe they like fizzled out too fast, or like it ended up being really one-sided, or maybe it was just like a really toxic situationship kind of thing. But anyway, yeah, there was this one person who I met a few years ago through Twitter, and it did say in their profile that they were intersex. They didn't talk about it too much, just kind of mentioned it every now and then. Yeah, they didn't say a whole lot about it, and I didn't really ask because it wasn't really my business. All that I really knew about their specific condition was that they did take supplemental estrogen, which I only mentioned because it is relevant later. So yeah, we started talking. We were like very obviously interested in each other. I was living in North Texas at the time, and they were living in Oklahoma. Now, you might be thinking that that is like way too long distance, like living in separate states. But as a queer person from the South, you kind of just have to be okay with some distance if you want to meet someone for real. Like, if I limited myself to only people who are like close-ish to my hometown, I would be waiting literal lifetimes. And I know that some people are like, oh, I could never do a long-distance relationship. Like, okay, first of all, it was a 4-hour drive, which is certainly not the worst. Like, that is a doable distance in my opinion. Like, it's not ideal, of course, but like, you could probably still see each other like once a month if you wanted to, like at least until you're like able to close the gap. But that feels doable for me, I think. And for 2, I'm not saying that you're wrong if you say that you can't handle any amount of distance in a relationship. Like, that is your choice to make, and that's fine. But I am saying that you are weak and you will not survive the winter. Anyway, so yeah, we were interested in each other. We were talking like basically every day. We had a bunch of shared interests, a bunch of shared hobbies. We started watching a show together, and we never ended up meeting in person, but we were kind of like reaching that point of like, we were talking about it, like, do you want to meet up sometime? And so yeah, we had just been chatting for like a few weeks, maybe like a couple of months at that point, until I decided to make a tweet one day. Like, I didn't at them or anything. This was just like a random thought that I had that I wanted to express to my like 200 or so followers at the time. And it was something along the lines of, I think I might like to start testosterone soon. And they just vanished. Like, literally unfollowed me on the spot. Like, we went from talking to every single day to like, they just fully ghosted me, and I never heard from them again. And I'm just like, why? Like, make that one make sense. It has been like 7 years, and I'm still trying to puzzle that one out. Because it's like, why are you upset that but then you also, like, why? And I'm just like really glad that my self-esteem was in a really good place at that point in my life, because I can absolutely see how in a different timeline I could have internalized that very differently. Like, in another life, my response to that could have been something more like, I guess I shouldn't do the thing that's going to improve my life in every conceivable way and bring me joys that I never thought were imaginable, because I think that people might not like me as much. And I'm so glad that that was not what I took from that experience. Like, I'm glad that my response to that situation was like, wow, you're a tool. Like, bullet dodged. But anyway, yeah, that is my singular intersex enemy. I'm sure that the rest of you are perfectly lovely people. Damn, I sure did not talk about the painting in this video, did I? The one thing of note about this painting is that I am glad that I did show some restraint when I was adding the white highlights, because they are very fun to do, but they're also very easy to overdo. And I really wanted to add more, but I'm glad that I kept it mostly to the face and like a little bit in the hair and like some in the shirt, but like enough to make it so that the face was the main focal point, which is what I wanted. I was kind of worried that I made like the lips too shiny and I made them too beautiful and kissable, but then I remembered that this is my house and I can do what I want. I'm recording this over Valentine's Day weekend, and I am once again spending it alone, so that's just kind of what's been on my mind. If I can't have big smoochable lips in my life, then I will simply create them myself. Man, I love being an artist. But yeah, I think that's all I got for today. I am pretty happy with the way that this painting turned out. I really enjoyed the colors that I used. I'm really glad that I got to know my Sennelier paints a little bit better, and I am really looking forward to using them more in the future. If you want to see more things like this, or if you want to listen to more of my insane ramblings, please feel free to subscribe, or don't, because I'm not your dad. But either way, I hope you have a colorful day.